Hey YouTube, this is Raj, and today I'm going to be talking about the sword enchantments in Minecraft. And basically this is going to be a summary of all of the enchantments and basically which ones you should put on your sword and which ones you should completely avoid. I've been doing specific videos on each one so you can check those out. And why don't we get started? So with the sword, there are a lot of enchantments, and you can definitely make some choices on what you specifically want to enchant it with. The different ways that I'm going to be looking at it is how it increases the function of the sword, the ones that are worth putting on but you don't really need as much, the ones that add some durability, and the ones to completely avoid. So let's start with looting 3. I would say it's not ordered in a specific amount. The other thing to consider is the number next to it is the maximum level you can get. So why looting 3 is important with the sword is because if you are attacking mobs, it increases the amount of drops for basically everything. So uncommon drops, rare drops, equipment drops, common drops. Basically, it increases everything. So if you're attacking a mob, it at least gets you better items and more of them. So especially with the sword, it is really useful. So the next one is Sweeping Edge. So Sweeping Edge is a confusing name, I would say. It's kind of unclear reading through all the material, but the best summary I have for it is that if you're attacking one mob and a bunch of mobs are coming towards you, if you attack the mob at the center, the ones next to it won't get as much damage. But with Sweeping Edge, what it does is it increases the damage to the mobs next to it. So I would actually say it's a pretty useful enchantment to have on your sword because there's lots of times where you go into a situation and you don't realize how many mobs are there, and especially if there's a crowd of them, this is a really useful enchantment just for the function of a sword and dealing damage to mobs. So the next one is these 3. So the reason why I put these 3 like this is because they are incompatible with each other, so you have to make a choice of which one of the 3 you want. They're all level 5, although I didn't list that properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the least useful to the most. So the least useful is Bane of Arthropods. So how it works is basically it only involves spiders. So it's basically spiders, cave spiders, andermites, and there's something else I can't remember. But how it works, it actually does at level 5 12 more damage to those mobs than other ones. So if you deal with a lot of spiders, this is useful, but overall, just the amount of mobs and the amount of damage it does is not very good. The next one is Smite 5. So Smite, I would say, is pretty useful because there are a lot of undead mobs in the game. So I can list them all, but I can't remember off memory. So, things like zombies, skeletons, drowned are even in that category. There was probably like 15 different mobs that were in there. So it's definitely useful, especially for the amount of damage it did. So it's like Bane of the Arthropods, so it does about 12 damage to those mobs. So I would say it's actually pretty good, and I would actually consider this might be a better enchantment than Sharpness, just because the amount of damage it does, and the amount of mobs it does damage to is a huge amount. So the next thing is Sharpness. So Sharpness is basically, this happens with a lot of the enchantments in Minecraft. So these ones have a specific mob that you're attacking, and Sharpness is general. So it doesn't do as much damage, but it works on pretty much any mob. So this only does 3 more damage than a usual sword. A usual sword only does about 7 damage. But these are really effective for the mobs it attacks, and this one isn't. So it only does 3 damage, as where these do 12. But I would probably say this is a good one to enchant your sword with, of the 3, because it has a larger category that you can do damage to. So the next one, these are what I would consider it's a good enchantment to put on your sword, but it's not a necessity unless you really like these enchantments. So what Fire Aspect is pretty straightforward. It lights the mob on fire. It has level 1 and 2, so I think it does about 4 more damage at level 1, and then it does about 7 damage at level 2, so that's quite a bit of damage on top of the usual damage you're doing with the sword. So it is definitely one that's kind of fun to play around with, although it might backfire and light you on fire, but it's definitely a good enchantment. And I wouldn't go out of my way to get it, but it's definitely one, if you have, it might be fun to put on a sword. The next one is Knockback 2. So this one, it basically just knocks the mob back. So it either knocks the mob back 3 blocks or 6 blocks at level 2. Uh, I would say it's decent just because creepers, you can knock the creeper back. It'll not do that thing where it's about to blow up and then you can keep attacking it. But it's not something you really need to go out of your way with. I mean, it's sort of useful in a way, but I don't think it's something where it's like you need it on your sword. So the next one involves durability. So basically, it increases the amount that you can use the sword, and like at level 3, it increases the durability by about 4 times. So it's definitely something worth getting. It definitely, if you want to have a sword that lasts longer, it's definitely useful. I'm not sure what to say about it, but it is good. And then there's mending, which obviously increases the durability from the amount of XP you get. I would say sword is not the first thing I would put my mending on unless I had a ton of mending books. But it's definitely useful. So if you're not familiar with mending, basically every XP you get, it increases the durability by 2. So then you can have the item for longer. It's definitely one of the best I would probably say the best enchantment in Minecraft. But I would probably say it's a better thing to put on your pickaxes or your shovels, and then maybe sword would be like in the 3 to 5 range of things you should put it on. And the one thing to completely avoid is Curse of Vanishing. So just watch out what is in your enchantment books, because there's times where a villager has something, or what's the other way? If you basically just find a book and you aren't paying attention, you can end up with this enchantment on your sword, which is useless because your sword will completely vanish once you die. So that is all of the enchantments in Minecraft. Let's see. There's definitely some that are really useful. So looting is really important. I would say unbreaking is pretty important, those two. And then a lot of these, it's more about how much damage you want to do or what damage you specifically want to do to what mobs. So I would definitely consider that in how you choose these enchantments. So there's definitely a lot of options for swords and a lot of different ways that you could do this. So, I mean, have fun with it. So that was the sword enchantments in Minecraft. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Uh, I would say for a summary, just to explain some things, there are specific ones that are useful that you need on a sword. Anything that adds durability is always a necessity for any tool or armor. And the one enchantment I would say that is really important for a sword is looting. So if you get looting, you should definitely enchant your sword with. A lot of the other ones, it's more optional. So if you have a book or you get the enchantment some way, it's worth considering putting on your sword. I wouldn't say it's worth going out of your way to get specific enchantments. There's nothing that's like really horrible that you should completely avoid. I mean, the only thing to consider is those 3 specific enchantments that are not compatible with each other. But besides that, it's pretty much, they're pretty useful and decent, and they add damage when you actually attack something. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more information about the specific enchantments, I've been doing videos about all of those, and then I'm going to be doing videos about all the specific tools and weapons and also armor, so that you can get a complete idea of how to use enchantments in Minecraft, because there are a lot of enchantments and there are a lot of items to enchant, and it's hard to remember everything, so I'm hoping to help you guys with that. So if you like my video, please give me a like. If you want me to keep producing content, give me a subscribe. If you just want to leave a comment, I always appreciate that and read them. Stay classy, YouTube. This is Raj.